Hello, ladies and gentlemen. It's your friend Moonhorse here with yet another story. This is a special one. I just kind of glanced over it, but this is from our friend Alfarius. This is called I Was in Prison with an Eldrich God of Chaos. It gets fucking crazy. I am indeed alive, somehow, and just to clarify, I'm not a felon. In this story, I'm actually a corrections officer, and this story focuses on one inmate in particular over a 7-month period while I was an officer. To this day, I have never met anyone stranger in my entire life. Now to start this, there needs to be context. I'm an officer at an open dorm level 2 to 3 facility that had no AC. Oh Christ, that sounds like hell. Open dorm meaning we had no cells except for segregation. We were severely overcrowded and understaffed. I'm talking 120 plus inmate per dorm, with maybe 1 to 2 officers in every dorm. Oftentimes, I was the only officer in our worst / most violent / gang-riddled dorm due to a shitty legbeard partner, where all 99% sure was either fucking one of the offenders or trafficking things in. But she's another story. The offender in question we'll refer to as Clink, as that was what everybody called him. He was a Chinese man in his mid-40s and did not speak English unless he was drunk. How do I know this? Well, that comes later. Let me tell you the legend of Clink. The story starts the first day I actually met him. I'd heard the tale of Clink, but I'd never actually met him. There was this signal called to the dorm that he was in, meaning that backup is needed now, and when I entered the dorm, he is on the table with 2 locks in a sock, swinging it around and making faux karate noises. My first response is, get off the fucking table! And he did! He just starts walking away with the weapon, and I was like, you better give me that! And he grumbles, turns around, throws him on the floor in front of me, and then goes back to his bunk. He started to go to sleep before the sergeant came in, cuffed him up, and locked him in seg. Now you think he might be a troublemaker. Well, yes and no. He was the biggest snitch in the facility, so he gave good information, primarily by yelling from his bunk and pointing to people saying like, he's smoked, come get him! Now this was good and bad. In the beginning, I guess just about every gang had put hits on him, but everyone who tried to claim the hit wound up with broken bones. See, he never lost a fight. He literally took on 6 Aryans by himself in the shower and won. And not only won, but did so while completely wet and naked. How do I know this? Well, I'm the one who had to cuff him up and walk him down to seg. Clink was also the creator of the fabled Moto Shank, a motorized automatic shank made from a tattoo motor that he stole off the Bloods and then of course dared them to come get it. They didn't. Now the big problem with Clink, well, he's used as an initiation for one of the white gangs. If you could go 3 minutes with him, you're in. Most couldn't go 1. He eventually found out that this is what they were doing and devised a clever scheme to get back at one of their leaders for this little initiation. Well, it was kind of clever. Was it a thought-out plan? Maybe. He shit in the man's jumpsuits. Not 1, all 3. There's nothing quite like eating mac and cheese in an 85-plus degrees dorm at 1:30 in the morning and having a man walk up to you and go, hey, I don't know how to say this, but Clink shit in my jumpsuits. And my first reaction is, he did what? So I had to go to his bunk and ask with a straight face, did you shit in this man's jumpsuit? He eventually confessed and I had to write him up for it. And he's also the only person in the facility's 100-plus year to ever get his head stuck in the window bars. This man spent literally a week making prison butter, rubbed it on his head, slid through the bars, and then realized he couldn't get back out. So I had to call a supervisor, who in turn had to call the facility fire department and the deputy warden to bring a concrete saw to cut his head out and then weld the bars back together. Jesus. Now here's the part I mentioned earlier. One night about 4 a.m., he comes up to the officer's desk and says, can I get a request slip? Now I hadn't picked up on anything weird in my caffeine overdose state and said, sure man. And then I saw who it was. A man who for 5 months spoke fluent Chinese, just spoke English to me. And I looked at him and said, am I drunk because I swear you just spoke English. And his response, no sir, but I sure as fuck am. So I look at him for a second and say, alright, well, where's the hooch? And he led me to it. What he had done was honestly kind of genius. He spent months making a toilet paper tube straw, and at night put it in another guy's box that was full of hooch several feet away, and then drank it. He drank it all this night, however. Now, I have a whole host of stories about this crazy-ass man, but here's a short list of summaries from what I can remember. He fell into a locked closet from the ceiling. How he got into the ceiling, we're not sure. He fended off a Mexican mob hit with a rack full of basketballs by throwing them at them, exactly like you think he did. He managed to order hentai through the prison's book order system. No one can explain how he accomplished this. It took a guy getting the Australian translation of one to get it past the censors, but he ordered it just straight hentai and just got it. He made ice cream from peanut butter. He attempted to start a crusade against the Buddhists because they stole his ice cream recipe. Threw a man into a shower because that man was on a hygiene strike, and Clink simply got tired of him smelling bad. He threw the resident pedo down a flight of stairs. This one was the facility's final straw, and they had to ship him somewhere else. This is not the only story I have, however. I have several ghost stories involving multiple dorms in the rec building and the prison, and all kinds of wonderful people there. Have you ever wondered what happens to people like maps and incels and neckbeards and legbeards when they get locked up? I know. I'll tell you sometime. Holy shit. I want to hear more. I can't get over the shit that this man got into. Like, this guy basically got arrested and was just like, I mean, fuck it. And just decided to do whatever. He pretty much had resigned himself to just being that level of crazy, and it's just like, you know, but they can't arrest you twice. So I guess we'll just do this. I want to you know, of all the things, now that I think about this, especially the part of he found up in a locked closet after falling through the ceiling. In any other case, after hearing the way that Alfarius described this guy, in any other case, I would say that was a prisoner trying to escape. But with him, I'm not entirely sure. It could have been many things. It could have been he was trying to get out. It could have been he thought that he found the portal to Narnia. The world may never know. But he sounds fucking incredible. I can't believe this shit. Holy crap. That is amazing. I would love to hear more weird-ass stories. Of course, I love weird stories from everywhere. You guys already know that. But that's fucking hilarious. I really... As soon as I saw this one, and I kind of read through it a little bit, because I kind of proofread some. I try not to. In most cases, I try to read them as is, just for this show. But with this one, I had to proofread just a little bit, given the, you know, location, just to make sure we're not about to get into any kind of like crazy town stuff here. I honestly, just as soon as I finished it, was like, no, this is a video. This absolutely is. It has to be. There is no way to not tell this story. This is fucking amazing. This man is like a wizard. A criminalized, dangerous wizard, but a wizard nonetheless. The toilet paper straw fucking got me the most. That means that he literally found out that someone else in that block had some way of either getting or making alcohol, and was just like, okay, how do I steal that without him noticing? And by God, he figured out how to do it in the most, like, Dr. Seuss weird-ass way possible. I can only imagine that, like, you know those old cartoons where they, like, stick a whole bunch of straws together? I just imagine, like a corridor of, like, cells. I know this is probably not how it's set up, but I just imagine, like, a corridor of cells. Like, there's all a bunch of cells on one side, a bunch of the other. They got the big iron bars. And just, like, the longest straw comes out of one and goes into another. With the little doo-doo-doo-doo-doo-doo sound effect. I can fucking see that. It's cracking my shit up. That was an incredible story, and thank you so much for sharing that with us. I look forward to reading more of your stories in the future. Oh my goodness. Well, thank you all for being a part of this one, and I hope you enjoyed this as much as I did. I love you all so very much, and I'll see you in the next episode. Bye!